Sorry, people. Guten Morgen. Oh, I said Guten Morgen because I'm walking with a man from Switzerland. A pastor, a Zwingli pastor from Switzerland. Imagine a Catholic priest and a Zwingli pastor walking here at the Sea of Galilee. Just let's take a look here.
Good morning, everyone.
Very good.
Have a blessed day.
I forgot your name. Daniel. I mean, I just woke up a while ago, so I don't remember everything. So where are you a pastor, Daniel?
I'm in Basel. I'm responsible for refugees and migrant churches in my Reformed Church of Basel. So I all wish you a blessed day.
And now we have more people from Switzerland here.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Eliel.
Good morning.
And this is Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
And Anne-Marie has come many times with many pilgrims here from Switzerland. So we're going to continue our walk here. Just if
But
we...
you had such a short night.
Oh, come back again.
Yeah. Nein, das ist mein Sohn. Mein Mann ist gestorben. Und wir hatten mit dem Zimmer solche Probleme, bis wir dann endlich mussten wir noch das Zimmer ändern.
Wir sind auf Livestream, ja. I wanted to ask you if the wind is a big problem for hearing the live stream. Or we should just continue like this, or should I try a little microphone if it would help? If you can hear okay, we leave it like it is. So there are people greeting the Swiss people. Es kommen Grüße für Sie ein. Okay, the sound is okay. That's good. Thank you for that feedback. So I'm taking these Swiss kids down here a little bit to the campsite so we can see the different spots of some of the different spots of the Sea of Galilee. You know that the Capernaum is over here, and the Mount of Beatitudes you can see with the covers there at the what would you call it, little set of trees there, and then just down from the Mount of Beatitudes you have the multiplication of the loaves.
Yes.
And the primacy of Peter, and then over this way we have Bethsaida, the new Bethsaida, and then further up the older Bethsaida, and then Mount Hermon. Some days we can see it, it's straight up there behind the Mount of Beatitudes.
Yeah, you can see.
And then here you have all the mountains bordering Lebanon over here in the north, and then here you can see normally a little bit of Syria, but it's very hazy today. And then you can see Jordan down here. So you have this proximity, this close proximity here. No, it was, if you just look at the live stream from yesterday, the last couple of days, it was absolutely calm. And it's more excited today. This is happening periodically. I'm not sure what the explanation is. I'm not sure if it's connected with the moon or it's just wind. Obviously the wind has something to do with it today, and maybe it's a wintry phenomenon. It happens with relative frequency during the winter time.
So we have to
We can go. How are your shoes? We can go down through the rocky area here. It's also nice. So today I'm going to be commenting the readings a little bit. We do that every day. And we have two readings today from the first reading alternates between the Old Testament readings and the New Testament readings. And then there's a psalm and then there's the gospel. And today we're in Mark chapter 4. We read Mark at the beginning of the year, and Luke and Matthew, you know, through the in the readings. It's a 2-yearly cycle because there's so much more material because the Gospels are much shorter. We can read them in 1 year very easily. Yes. So now we're reading from Hebrews, and we're in I think we're in chapter 6, chapter 7. We're reading about it's a very interesting commentary. We could actually just read it a little bit here because it's very tough. It's a very powerful statement about the life of the disciples. And it's recalling, it's chapter 10 actually. Remember the days past when after you had been enlightened, which means baptized, which received the faith, you know. You endured a great contest of suffering, publicly exposed to abuse and affliction. Other times you associated yourselves with those who were so treated. You even joined in the sufferings of those in prison and joyfully accepted the confiscation of your property. Imagine that type of faith that leads one to that level of commitment. Yeah. It's really amazing. But you did that joyfully, knowing that you had a better and lasting possession. You know, sometimes we think about a little girl, you know, 5 or 6 years old, and she gets a little prick of a thorn, and it's the end of the world. And maybe we're like that in our faith today, in the Western world. We get the smallest little upset and we become shaken. And these people can have their property confiscated. They can suffer torture. They have this amazing ability, this amazing strength to be a disciple. And that's also connected to the gospel reading in a way through a beautiful statement at the end of the gospel reading today, that Jesus was explaining everything in private to his own disciples. You know, we're in chapter 4 of Mark. There are a lot of parables. We missed the parable of the sower and the seed because we had the conversion of St. Paul on the 25th. And it's good because even today, you know, we're still continuing the week of prayer for Christian unity, which culminates with the conversion of St. Paul. All of the churches together. You probably do that in Switzerland. And but then the regular readings from Mark were interrupted because of that, right? So then here we had the parables today are the mustard seed, the smallest seed that grows to be very big, and then we have the plant that grows even while the owner is asleep. Because God is the one who gives the growth. We can't make the growth happen. That's a gift of grace. You know, we plant, we sow, we water, and we harvest. And God gives the growth. So we can say then the theme today a little bit is about disciples. Disciples that learn everything from God, from Jesus. And we see that already in the Old Testament. Samuel is being taught by Eli in the temple, and we see Then how John the Baptist also has disciples. Also, we see the prophet Elijah with Elisha, and we see that process. But then there are lines in the Old Testament which says everybody will be disciples of God. And so there's not just the prophets training their disciples. Jesus then comes and calls disciples, and John gives his disciples to Jesus because Jesus is the ultimate teacher. And today we have then the issue of the parables. It says not everybody could understand, and it wasn't about just understanding. It was about faith, because disciples aren't just people who are learning; they're actually following. And Jesus has a very big demand for his disciples, that they carry the cross, they share in his suffering. And that's what we see in the ones in the letter to the Hebrews. So maybe we have a great question today about those of us who want to follow Jesus, who call ourselves his disciples. You know, the going can be rocky, can be rough. And when we live in a culture of abundance and relativism, we might be able to find ways to be disciples that are not costly, we reconcile being a disciple of Jesus with a lot of comfort. We get spoiled, and when somebody gives us a hard time, we're not trained in answering with faith. And so we get angry. We even have thoughts of revenge. Say again?
Get depressed also.
We can get depressed, exactly, and in a bad mood and a negative spirit. So just be careful here. You see, the going can get rocky for the disciples. So we better be careful. Watch the metal as well, you don't get cut here, okay? Watch your steps. So this is a lesson for us today. Here we have lots of rods lined up for fishing. It's always nice to find fishermen at the Sea of Galilee.
They're in a good tradition, aren't they?
Yes, a good tradition.
Yeah.
There's the fishermen in the cold. They have their blankets. The grass is growing quickly here. It's almost like Ireland or Switzerland. It's very green. Snowy still, yeah. Yes. So we'll finish up then with the psalm today. Is the salvation of the just comes from the Lord. And it's a psalm speaking about suffering and about distress. Psalm 37, quite a few verses from it. The salvation of the just comes from the Lord. Commit to the Lord your way and trust in Him, and He will act. And sometimes it takes decades to hear that answer from the Lord, to recognize it. And we are strengthened to be able to live it, and to live it as great disciples. So we'll do a little selfie moment again to conclude today. And may anybody who's listening and participating who's in trouble and distress today know that we're all praying for them. Some people have little children in hospital. Other people might have situations they don't want to talk about publicly, which is very fine. And they're carrying their cross as good disciples. And we wish you every blessing here from Switzerland and from Ireland and from here in Israel, here in Magdala. So we say Shabbat Shalom. It's also the day of Holocaust remembrance. So that's also a day of painful memory for humanity. And prayer for all the victims of violence and of ethnic cleansing, of hatred. God bless you all.